Welcome to Zinvana, our YouTube channel. This is a law study session based on my notes from the South African Law of Persons by Heaton, 6th edition. The aim of this session is to go through the key concepts in a clear, simple, and calm way to support understanding and revision. Okay, then, let's begin. Chapter 1, the introduction to the Law of Persons. This is basically a summary of Chapter 1. The law of persons forms part of private law and focuses on identifying who or what can be recognized as a legal subject. It also determines when legal personality begins and ends, what a person's legal status involves, and how certain factors such as age, mental capacity, or being born to unmarried parents affect their status. Before going deeper into law of persons, it's important to understand some basic legal concepts. Law and rights. Law can be understood in two main ways. Firstly, law can be seen as a system of rules or norms created to regulate behavior in society. These rules ensure order and fairness. For example, people are expected to honor contracts, avoid causing harm to others, and follow legal requirements such as having a driver's license. Secondly, law can be understood in terms of relationships between people, specifically through rights. A right exists when one person is entitled to something and others are required to respect that entitlement. Every right involves two relationships. The first is between the person who holds the right and other people. This means that if someone has a right, others have a duty to respect it. The second is between the person and the object of the right. A right must always relate to something, such as property or a claim. The law determines how far a right extends and sets its limits. For example, a person may own property but cannot use it in a way that harms others. Legal subjects and legal objects. The law distinguishes between legal subjects and legal objects. A legal subject is any entity that the law recognizes as capable of having rights, duties, and legal capacity. This means the law gives that entity legal personality. Legal capacity refers to the ability to hold rights and duties. A legal object, on the other hand, is something that cannot have rights or duties, but can be the subject of rights. Examples include things like property, vehicles, or other items. Legal subjects interact with legal objects to create legal relationships. Types of legal objects. There are different categories of legal objects. Firstly, corporeal things. These are physical, tangible items that people can control and that have value, such as houses or vehicles. Rights relating to these are called real rights. Secondly, performance. This refers to an action or obligation, such as delivering goods or paying money. These create personal rights or claims between people. Personality property. These relate to aspects of a person's identity, such as reputation, dignity, and physical integrity. These are protected through personality rights. Fourthly, intellectual property. These are creations of the mind, such as music, inventions, and written works. Even though they originate from a person, they exist independently and are legally protected. Now we move on to types of legal subjects. South African law recognizes two main types of legal subjects. The first one is natural persons. These are all human beings. Every human being is recognized as a legal subject, regardless of age or ability, although their legal capacity may differ depending on factors like maturity or mental state. Historically, not all humans were recognized as legal subjects. For example, slaves were once treated as legal objects. However, this is no longer the case in modern law. Secondly, is juristic persons. These are entities that are not human but are recognized by law as having legal personalities. Examples include companies, universities, and certain organizations. These entities exist separately from the individuals who form them and can have rights, duties, and legal responsibilities. They act through people, such as directors, but the rights and obligations belong to the entity itself. Some organizations can also qualify as juristic persons under common law if they meet certain requirements, such as having a continuous existence and operating independently from their members. It is important to note that not all entities are juristic persons. For example, partnerships and trusts are generally not considered separate legal persons. The Constitution and the law of persons. The Constitution is the highest law in South Africa. All laws must comply with it, and anything inconsistent with it is invalid. The Bill of Rights plays a central role in shaping the law of persons. Key values such as human dignity, equality, and freedom influence how laws are interpreted and applied. The Constitution has led to important developments in the law, including improved rights for children, recognition of responsibilities of parents, protection of vulnerable groups such as minors and mentally ill persons. Such legal challenges have been unsuccessful, but they still show our constitutional principles are tested and applied. Transform- Transformative constitutionalism. The Constitution is not only a legal document, it is a tool for change. Transformative constitutionalism refers to using the Constitution to transform society from one marked by inequality and injustice into one based on dignity, equality, and human rights. This means that all areas of law, including the law of persons, must be interpreted in a way that promotes fairness and social justice. Courts and legal scholars are expected to evaluate whether legal outcomes align with these constitutional values and whether better, more just outcomes can be achieved. Thank you for taking the time to go through this session with me. Take what you understand, revisit what you need, and continue at your own pace. This is the end of my summary of Chapter 1. I'll see you in the next session. Thank you. Take care.